So let me start with this. I'm an MCU fan, and honestly, I really enjoyed Spider-Man Brand New Day. I thought the emotional drama was strong, Peter's loneliness worked, and overall, I think it was one of the most engaging Spider-Man movies we've ever had in years. So this is not a hate video, but there is one major scientific mistake in the movie that genuinely bothered me. Today, let's talk about the biggest scientific mistake in Spider-Man Brand New Day.
I gotta fix whatever this is right now.
Before we criticize the movie, we need a little bit biological background. Every human body begins as a single cell, the zygote. The zygote, together with the earliest embryonic cells, is described as totipotent. That means it has the potential to produce all the cell types needed to form the embryo, as well as the supporting extra embryonic tissues. As human development continues, cells gradually become more specialized. We can broadly describe stem cell potency in 4 levels. Number 1, totipotent cells. They can produce every embryonic and extra embryonic cell types. Number 2, pluripotent stem cells. They can produce almost every cell type in the human body. Number 3 is multipotent cells. They can produce several related cell types within a particular lineage. And finally, we have unipotent stem cells. They can produce only one specialized cell types. In other words, human development is a process of progressive restriction. As cells specialize, they usually lose the ability to become completely different kinds of cell. Now, here's a very important point. Almost all the cells in our bodies contain essentially the same DNA, but that does not mean they use all of that genetic material in the same way. A heart cell and a skin cell carry almost the same genetic information, but they behave differently because different groups of genes are switched on and off in each cell type. So a neuron is not different from a kidney cell because it has a completely different genetic instruction manual. It is different mainly because it reads and uses different selection of genetic instructions. Now, we need one more distinction. Germline mutations versus somatic mutations. A germline mutation is present in an egg, a sperm cell, or one of their precursor cells. If that mutation is inherited and enters the zygote, it can be copied into essentially every cell of the developing body. A somatic mutation, on the other hand, happens in an ordinary body cell after development has begun. It is passed only to the daughter cells produced from that particular cell. It does not instantly spread to the heart, brain, skin, kidneys, muscles, and nervous system. If a somatic mutation occurs during adulthood, the result is usually localized to a cell population or a tissue. In other words, it creates a mosaic pattern. Some cells carry the mutation and others do not. Now, let's return to Peter Parker. The movie suggests that as a result of loneliness and the fact that Peter saw MJ kissing that other guy in the party, he went through an emotional traumatic experience. And also, as a result of a work-life imbalance, Peter has chronic stress. These two factors together trigger a deeper, spider-like biological transformation. Dramatically speaking, that is a compelling idea. His psychological condition is reflected in his physical condition. But scientifically speaking, the movie seems to blur together 3 different concepts: genetic mutation, switching genes on and off, and rebuilding the anatomy of Peter's body. So let's just start with the first possibility. Trauma creates new mutations. Long-term stress can influence hormones, inflammation, oxidative stress, and DNA repair. So it is not completely absurd to say that severe stress can affect biology or even contribute indirectly to DNA damage. But DNA damage is not a useful coordinated upgrade. New mutations in an adult would usually be somatic and patchy. They would affect particular cells and their descendants, not redesign every tissue at the same time. So if Peter suddenly develops coordinated changes in his nervous system, muscles, sensory organs, behavior, and web-producing tissues, a few new somatic mutations as a result of trauma, which is also a concept under serious question, cannot explain it. The second possibility is more generous. Maybe the spider bite had already placed some kind of spidey genetic program in Peter's cells, and trauma simply switched that program on. That explanation is better than saying trauma created entirely new spider genes. Hormones can travel through the bloodstream and they can change gene activity in many tissues. But even this explanation does not solve the main problem. Turning gene on is not the same thing as constructing new organs. To create a new biological structure, Peter's body would need controlled cell division, cell differentiation, tissue remodeling, blood vessel growth, nerve integration, immune tolerance, and a huge supply of energy and raw materials. This would be closer to restarting part of embryonic development inside an adult body. And adult human tissues are not designed to do that quickly, cleanly, and safely. A transformation on that scale should produce biological chaos. Inflammation, damaged tissue, disorgans growth, metabolic exhaustion, immune reactions, and possibly cancer. We actually saw that happening in Deadpool. Instead, in Peter's body, the transformation is strangely functional. Peter gets coordinated, useful, spider-like features rather than random cellular damage. I just couldn't buy it. So the biggest scientific mistake is not simply that stress affects Peter's body. The real mistake is the leap from emotional trauma to a coordinated whole body genetic and anatomical redesign in an adult human. If trauma caused new mutations, those mutations should usually be somatic and localized, creating a mosaic pattern rather than changing every tissue together. And if trauma merely switched pre-existing spidey genes on, the movie still does not explain how gene activation could rapidly build new functional anatomy across multiple organ systems in Peter's body. Here's everything I said in one sentence. The movie treats mutation, gene regulation, and full body development as if they were basically the same process. And biologically, they're not. Again, I really like the movie. This is not me saying it was bad. It was just a science meets pop culture breakdown. Did you like this video? Here in this channel of Science and Other Demons, I'm trying to talk about science, philosophy, and other stuff without the hypes. If you like such a thing, you might want to consider subscribing.